Wayne's World, Wayne's World. That's what our little timeout dance looks like from Hula and I's perspective. Welcome back, everybody. We are ready to dive into another juicy episode today. We are knowing the knowing. And Ula had shared earlier that this is either going to be one of the shortest episodes ever, or it's going to be another amazing chat. So I'm shooting that it's going to be an amazing chat, and maybe it'll be super fast. So let's dive in.
So this name, knowing the knowing, came while I was running. We talked about that quite often, that the names just come to me from our dead people. And they're funny. They like to send me information in the middle of the night, or they like to send it while I'm running, and you know, not something when I sit down and I want to write down stuff. No, it doesn't work like that at all. But we've talked about knowing what it is when you know something, and you learn to trust things, you learn to believe in things, and once you know, things just happen for you in your life, and everything gets easier. But we haven't really talked about, how do you know when you are knowing, when you are in that knowing space? And this is it. It's the it actually made me laugh when I was told this, because this is going to be so short and it's going to be so stupid and you're going to laugh too. Okay, honey, how much is 1 + 1?
2.
And you know that?
Yeah.
Do you trust it and believe it?
Yeah.
Right? Yep. That's it. That is the knowing. That's how knowing feels. 1 + 1 is 2. There's nothing to it. That's it.
End of episode. Good luck, everybody, implementing this for the rest of your lives. Okay, so, and actually this reminds me, honey, of something that you and I were talking about earlier this week, that oftentimes you forget how a lot of things that are just obvious to you and a knowing to you for the rest of the world are absolutely foreign. And so this is going to be where we get to unpack this foreign thing of what the fuck is Ula talking about? Knowing is like 1 and 1 = 2. So let's start back where, and I don't know what episode we talked about this, but I think to unpack a little bit more, when we are in a place of desiring something to happen in our lives, we want a shift, we want a change, we go into that place of dreaming, right? Which is basically like, I want this. Whether it's feeling better in your life or having a new love experience, all of that is you allowing your mind to entertain something new. And when you start there emotionally, you tend to feel excited about it, right? And that excitement is what allows room for this possibility to start to enter your way. What often happens is the next thing that pops in the brain is, well, how is that going to happen? And this is where trust comes in, because when we start looking at how is this going to happen, what do I need to do in order to allow this into my life, we start to wonder or question, is this even possible for me? Is this dream that I got so excited about even realistic or practical, or do I even need it? And that is where we end up in this trust space, which is, can I trust that this dream really is feasible for me? When you marinate on it a little bit more, and maybe you get out of some of your own negative self-talk around it, and you're like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I still want to believe this is possible for me. Now you're in that believing space, and believing tends to be more emotional. So a lot of the stuff out there in the personal development and spirituality realms teaches you how to stay in the believing space. Have your daily affirmations, have your vision board, right? Talk yourself into this. I was telling Ula how I got this exercise recently of our tendency to look at what if things don't work out, and instead, how do we ask the question of why am I this way? Why am I so successful? Why am I so lovable? Why do I create amazing offers that bless the whole world with goodness? And your brain starts to look for examples. Why? All of this is helping you to believe, which is to feel the possibility of this dream being real for you. And that's a beautiful space to be in. But what we're going to talk to you today about is the knowing. And this is Ula's playground, because Ula, you live in a place of knowing that when you have a desire, the desire is done. It's on its way to you. You don't need to put any more energy into it than you would put energy into saying, yes, 1 and 1 is 2. So let's dive into how you can start to move from the trust to the belief to the knowing, what that feels like, and then how you stay there, especially when the outer world tells you that maybe this knowing isn't coming to fruition in the way that you desire, or this dream that you have doesn't really seem to be aligned with any of the evidence that you're getting that can tell you it's actually going to come.
I love that you said feels. How does that feel? Because that's all it's about. It is moving from trust to belief to knowing. It's a feeling. It's an energy where you hang out, and there's, you don't have to work out, or you don't have to exercise and exercise your mind or any of that. Like, you don't really have to do physically anything. But what you do have to do is allow yourself to move from one feeling to another. And that's it's easier said than done. I know this. I've been in these places where it's like, holy fuck, like, how am I going to move through this and from this to where I used to be and even forward? And it hasn't been even that long. It was at the end of last year, just a couple of months ago, I was in a situation where I did not know or believe, I barely trusted that my situation is going to get better. Mm-hmm. But you start by telling yourself that it is, first of all, you are not doing anything wrong. That is a big one, because our brain easily goes to the place that, okay, I'm fucking things up. And if it doesn't work immediately, you're like, okay, I'm doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. It's not going to work for me. It works for everybody else, but there's something in me. It's my fault. I can't do this right. So remember, you are not doing anything wrong. Mm-hmm. And you only have now. You can change the way you feel about anything right now. Now, the shift doesn't necessarily mean that it can be giant, because you can't jump from fear and anger to pure joy. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess you can, but it means that you have to die. So don't do that. We'll save that for another episode. You don't have to die to feel good. So just shifting how you feel a little bit right now, because you only have right now. You can't change the way you felt a minute ago. You can't change the way you're going to feel tomorrow, but you can change the way you feel right now. And another thing that we talked about not too long ago, I don't think we talked about this on the podcast though, but is that your now energy is so much more potent than anything that you've done in the past. Anything. And that's another thing that a lot of self-help, spirituality realms say, that, okay, you're manifesting these things because you are feeling this way and you keep feeling this way. Yes, you're seeing the evidence of what you felt before right in front of you, but none of that has to matter. None of it means anything if you shift right now. And once you shift your feelings just a little bit, all of a sudden you are in the space of believing. You trusted before that, okay, yeah, this might be possible for me. And I actually want to make this shift in my life. And I want to see these changes to, yes, I actually believe that this is possible. And then you just keep doing that little by little, every single day, every single moment. And this is a very conscious practice. Mm-hmm. It never ends. It doesn't end for me either. It just gets easier. At first, it is, yes, it is very frustrating because you don't see the evidence immediately and your brain goes back to like, okay, what am I doing wrong? How am I going to do this? What are the moving parts that I need to figure out how they move? But little by little, you allow yourself to let go of all that stuff because it doesn't matter and it's none of your business really. You get to just hang out in a space where you're excited and you feel good and you see the evidence changing in front of you. And once you start seeing that change, you come to live in the space where I am, which is knowing. I just freaking know. And
know what, honey? What do you know?
That my desires, number one, they are valuable. Mm-hmm. And once I say, and you don't have to even say this out loud, once you say, this is what I want, it's done. The universe already has delivered it in energy space. You just have to know that it is there and it is yours. And then becomes the patience. Not the patience that, okay, I'm just going to sit here and not do anything. I'm just going to wait. No, the patience comes from this excited place of, oh my God, I can't wait to see how big this is. Because once you get to the knowing space, the universe still has a way of showing off, which I like. And it also has a way of surprising you and always, always delighting you more than you ever expected.
So with that, honey, I want to go down even deeper because I know that a lot of people, we need a little bit more examples to make our brains get it because we don't live in this space. So, when you say knowing is you have a desire and it's on its way, what does that mean? Like, how do you know it's on its way?
You feel good and you feel excited. It is that simple.
So it's the feeling.
It's the feeling, yes.
And then staying in that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So when the doubt comes or when evidence doesn't seem to be aligned with this knowing that something is on its way, then what?
Then you can catch yourself if you can. And that's a good place to practice this. Like whenever you start feeling doubt about anything in your life, just catch yourself and tell yourself that, okay, well, look at me. This is where I got. It's okay. I didn't do anything wrong. How do I want to feel right now? How do I want to shift from this? Mm-hmm. And then you pick something that feels a little bit better right at that moment.
Like what?
Well, if you're feeling, okay, so you're feeling doubt.
Right.
Which usually it feels kind of anxious. Mm-hmm. You can shift into something lighter where you, let's see, even as mundane as bored feels better than anxious. Mm-hmm. So if you can jump from feeling anxious to feeling immediate relief and being joyful, which, you can, but again, it takes practice. Find something that feels just that little bit better that, okay, I feel really bored about this. Like I'm just tired of feeling anxious. And even that feels a little bit better than feeling the anxious feeling. But we also talked about this, that you can have crunchy moments and still feel joy in your life. Like you can shift into thinking about something completely different that will bring you energetically back to somewhere where you are closer to your desire.
So how does that translate? I mean, how does that relate to knowing that my desire is done and it's on its way?
It's the feeling. If you know something's done, if you know 1 + 1 is 2, you don't feel anxious when you see that math problem in front of you. You don't doubt, oh my God, what if it's not 2 today? What if it's 3 today? Or maybe it's only 1.5, and you start second guessing yourself and feeling anxious, but you never do that. And there's the difference. That's the difference in feeling. You don't second guess yourself at all.
Okay. So that I think is the gold mine right there, is when you get to the place of knowing that your desires are on their way, you don't second guess yourself at all. And I wanted to unpack this because when we are looking to develop a new behavior, a new way of existence, we often want to know how we do it. And one thing that I want to be really mindful of that people understand with what we're sharing today is when we talk about feeling, everything is feeling, how you feel about it, it does not mean that you are meant to be in this perpetual state of bliss. And this is one thing that I constantly have an issue with in the spiritual realm, because even as you're saying it, honey, like, just feel better. It's like, well, if we don't know how to feel better and we actually feel like shit, then we're not, and we're supposed to deny feeling like shit, then that doesn't feel honoring to us. We have this whole emotional process around our feelings and what we do with them. And one thing that I think you and I have clarified more and more in our own conversations is when we talk about feeling better. So as you think about a desire that you have, and maybe you recognize that you've been in the trusting space where you want to believe that this is possible for you, but you're still just trying to trust, like, okay, I think it's safe enough that I can entertain that this dream of mine, this desire can be mine. When you start to feel that alignment with trust, belief, or knowing, and you find yourself going into a place of doubt, the feeling better thing that Ula is talking about isn't like masking whatever you're feeling. It's not masking the doubt. What we're actually talking about is how do you move the energy within you around those difficult emotions so that they're not getting stuck within you. Because once they get stuck, and that's very easy, you have a bottleneck, right? You guys can all envision that if there's something stuck in your big channel of humanness, things are going to not be able to flow through. And because we are energy beings, everything needs to continue to flow in order for you to be able to receive new. So if you block yourself by focusing on the emotion of doubt, for example, then your brain is going to look for evidence to continue to doubt. And then that's going to stockpile within you this energy of doubt. And you're going to feel more doubtful because the movement of energy is not going, it's not happening. And so feeling better is not, I'm a bliss bunny. I'm just going to know that everything is my way and everything's coming to me because I'm love and I'm light. It is, okay, I'm moving into the knowing space. And if knowing means that I have no doubt that something is on its way for me because I simply desire it, but right now I'm feeling doubt, then it's how do I move the energy of doubt through me so that I'm not getting bottlenecked. And that feels totally different than just get over it, right? Feel better, feel happy about the flower that's outside. Now, for people like Ula, that can change you in a heartbeat. Like when you were going through your situation a couple months ago, like you had a lot of that self-doubt, but then you also got to this place of like, okay, I'm done with that. I'm moving on. And then you were able to focus on the flowers outside or the beauty of the butterflies on your run, and everything that just started to awaken, and your energy moved so quickly that you, in allowing the feeling betterness of that energy flow, immediately got back to knowing, like, of course, everything's working out for me. Now I know what the rest of the humans like experience in their life with this like self-doubt shit. I don't want to do that ever again. Right? Yeah. So this is, I'm emphasizing this because I know for me personally, I have so much, of this old narrative of beating myself up and thinking that I'm doing something wrong. And then for me, I get very stuck in the, can I really believe this is possible for me space? And I have a lot of doubt because I'm looking for evidence outside of me to show me that it's safe to believe that my dreams are coming to me. Now, through my friendship with Ula, and you and I have had a million conversations about this, like every single fucking day, right? Being able to soften into honoring your feelings of doubt or uncertainty or lack of safety, for me personally, has been really valuable because I come from this old patterning of needing to analyze shit and needing to connect the dots and think my way to a new feeling. But what I'm learning more and more is that even that is starting to become a little exhausting. I don't need to think my way into a new feeling. I actually get to just choose to be there. I don't need to connect the dots. And you've told me this, honey, like even if I come from a very big low, and I make sense of everything in my brain, I don't need to hang out in the low to somehow prove that I've learned my lesson and now it's okay to move on. I can literally move on in a second. So for all of us, a big takeaway is when you want to allow yourself to know that your dreams are coming to you, see this as a practice of moving from trusting to believing to knowing, and then look at your emotions as a gauge of where you're actually hanging out at. And they will reveal if your energy is flowing or if it's actually stuck. So if you have moments of doubt, or you have moments of anxiety, or you have moments of overthinking, or even self-sabotaging yourself, look at how you can soften into a feeling of ease. And that feeling of ease will let your nervous system calm down, your brain chill out, and then you can go back to what would it look like if I knew that this dream is already done? It's on its way. The universe listened. Of course it's coming to me. How would that feel? And the feeling, honey, that I've gotten from listening to you and your knowing, and it's funny that you had the 1 + 1 = 2 example, you're not walking around like a fucking bliss bunny still either. Yeah, it's just like you don't think about it because you know that when you wake up tomorrow, right, like there's going to be a sun out there. You know that your body is going to take the next breath. You're not doubting the next breath happening for you. You don't even give it attention. That's the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that to me that blew me away when I realized just in observing you, honey, that you're not like trying to convince yourself to stay in that place of knowing. You just know, and therefore you don't need to give it your attention. And you can stay excited about how it's going to come your way without even putting in the energy of like, but I need to figure it out. And that's, I think, where a lot of people struggle is the letting go, which in this scenario means letting go of your need to control how it's going to come to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's a couple of examples of where I hang out and I'm totally not the bliss bunny. I laugh a lot because that's who I am as a human. I love laughing. I laugh with my kids, but at the same time, it's like this ease in your entire being that you can sit on your friend's balcony and stare at a hairball going around a chair's leg because it's entertaining. Like there is simple little things like that can still keep you happy and entertained, and you just see wonder everywhere. Yeah, and it was me staring at the hairball
on my balcony. So I was sharing with Ula this morning that as I practice this actively in my life, and this really is a daily practice, sometimes it's a every minute practice. One thing that I'm feeling is if I zoom out at my whole process, what I'm finding is that so much of this really is about, am I willing to give myself a chance to experience something brand new in my life? And this is a question that we want to leave all of you with, because I think that in itself is going to reveal where you might have some bottlenecked energy within you of doubt or insecurity or fear. And all they're telling you is that you just need a way to feel safe to step into this new playground. And that really is your job, is how will you feel safe? Now, a lot of you would say like, well, I'll feel safe if you give me evidence that my dream is actually going to come true. And then I'll believe in it. And then I'll know because I can see it. I can see that all these things are adding up. And that's an old paradigm that we're coming from for sure. What we are teaching you is, how do you allow yourself to go to a place where you know that you deserve this. This really, I was going to say believe that you deserve this, and that's probably where I'm at, because you know that you are the creator of your entire life experience. You are the person that has the ability to decide. And a lot of times we are making active decisions that we don't want. And so it goes back to this thing that I have constantly said, is sometimes the things we most desire are the things we're most afraid of getting. And that to me was the reminder this morning of, as I move into more of the hanging out in the believing playground and then allowing myself to know, I'm recognizing that that transition space is really about how willing am I to give me, Gladys, a shot at living an amazing fucking life. How willing am I to let go of my way of knowing how to show up in the world, let go of the control, the need to control how things happen, and actually be curious to what can unfold for me? How do I give myself the best shot at letting life be easy and actually letting my dreams come true? They are coming true. All my fucking dreams that I have desired up until this point are coming true. Am I willing to accept it?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the stuff, you guys, to quote unquote work on. It's your willingness. It's not learning a new mantra. It's, are you willing? Are you willing to know that you are receiving everything you desire simply because you are? And that requires a lot of fucking love. And that's something, honey, that you have a million tons of, that I'm learning to cultivate. And just through this process, also seeing how I have not had a lot of love to myself, and understanding why you would say to me so many times over the last 5 years, like, you're so hard on yourself. Why are you beating yourself up so much? I'm like, no, I'm not. I love myself. I've done this whole personal development journey. And it's like, now I'm like, whoa, I have gotten in my own way over and over and over again. I've made my life hard over and over and over again, because deep, deep, deep down, I believed I'm fucking things up, that things are not going to work out, that I am doing something wrong. And that is not coming from a place of self-love. That's coming from an old narrative that I'm not lovable unless I get life right.
Yeah. And that's the biggest judgment we pass on anybody. It's on ourselves. Yes, we judge others too. But that is actually easier to let go of. The judgment on others, it's easier to let go of than the judgment on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And little by little, when you practice this and give yourself the permission that, yes, I freaking want this. I want this change. I want to do this, and go all in, all that judgment disappears too. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter anymore what anybody else is doing, how they are living their lives, what kind of stories they're telling themselves. It doesn't matter, because it's shrubbery. I like to call it shrubbery. It's just this little beautiful contrast around me, around us, that is there as an information, and I get to pick and choose how I feel about anything. And all that judgment, it dissipates. And once you let that judgment, especially towards yourself, when you let it go, it's so much easier to know. Because every single one of us is worthy and deserving just because we are.
I love that, honey. So one question that we want to leave you guys with, and this can be a bit of a journaling exercise or just ponder it if you're listening in the car. What would it feel like if you knew that everything that you desire is already on its way to you, and all you need to do is just feel good knowing it's done? So take that question, ponder it, write it out, see what fears might come up, see what new revelations might come up, and use that as a guide to move into this beautiful place of knowing the knowing.